Welcome to the 2023 MIT Sloan Sports Analytics Conference. My name is Mohammed Abdallah. I'm a first-year MBA here at MIT Sloan. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to our startup competition. We are so excited to hear all of your pitches, and I'd like to go over a few logistics for the event. Each startup will have 12 minutes for their pitch and Q&A for the startups to decide how they want to divvy up that time themselves. And I would like to ask you all to join me in welcoming our judges, Grant Sun, Senior Lecturer at Columbia University, and Ms. Tiffany Morris Palazzo, CEO of Pragnetic Partners. Sincere apologies. And thank you all for your support. I would like to state that the winners, the first place prize of this competition will receive $10,000. Second place will receive $2,500, and third will be placed. And so let's kick it off with our first participant in the sub 500K funding category. Please welcome Gondola.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? My name is Jared Kleinstein. I'm the founder of Gondola. We provide credits, analytics, and portfolios for the creative industry. So what's really exciting about this for me today is we're sort of at the intersection of two really exciting industries, which is the creator economy and sports analytics. So a little bit about me. I, from 2007 till 2014, ran strategic partnerships for StreetEasy in New York. We were acquired by Zillow in 2013. While I was there, I started the T-Bowing meme, if y'all for some reason remember that. So either you're welcome or I'm very, very sorry. From 2014 till 2016, I ran sports partnerships for Vine as a part of the Twitter sports team, where I got to work with all the biggest sports leagues and teams and broadcasters in the world. And then I'd say pour one out, but it's a little early for that. But when Vine shut down in 2016, I moved to Denver, Colorado, and started Fresh Tape Media. So Fresh Tape's a production company. We work with every major league and team sort of around the globe. If you see some of this content, if any of it looks familiar, we've been at every NBA All-Star game for the last 7 years, every draft, Pro Bowl, Super Bowl, all those things. So we really understand content production, and we understand the creator economy. So there's a lot of people in this room that work in sports, work with leagues and teams, and all of you are in the creative industry. It's no secret that social media has become one of, if not the dominant way to engage with your fans. So we understand this, and we understand the challenges that sports leagues, that teams, and all of you face in creating social content. So there's sort of three big problems that we have chosen to address at Gondola. One is on the creative side. Creatives don't get credit for their work. If you look at an NBA Instagram post, you have no idea who's behind the content, right? That's because there's limited real estate to give that information to people, and those creators can rarely create portfolios and resumes that really indicate what they've done and what they've accomplished. So if you're a videographer for the NBA, you actually probably can't show all the content you've made on your portfolio site, and your resume is just text. Also, analytics. The NHL knows how many views their videos get, but the videographer at the NHL has no idea. On the business side, it's really hard to find creatives. There are no mechanisms to credit the team. So if you do want to give visibility to your creative team, there aren't great ways to do so. And then analysis of how your team performed. The same way that you can tell how many rebounds per game, points per game Nikola Jokic gets, there's no way to know how many video views one of your creators gets, how many likes they get, how many posts they've created. And on the public side, how many times have you seen an Instagram post and thought to yourself, that's amazing, who made that? Because there is no IMDb for social media. There is no credit system. So that's where we come in. We've built one solution that sort of solves three problems. On the everyone side of things, We built the first system for credits for social media. So you can see this picture of LeBron James, and you can figure out via Gondola who actually took the photo, who was the company behind the content. For creators, just by creating those credits, they get access to analytics. They get access to a content management system. They get access to their portfolio tool that they can share with people. And for businesses, creator development and hiring tools are so important right now, and all that they need is Gondola's search tools for creatives to power those initiatives. So the basic description of the company, Gondola is where creators take credit and get analytics for their work on social media. They've never had access to this. And it's where brands build, manage, and empower their creative teams, which they desperately need. And if you're wondering how this happened, it's because our production company, Fresh Tape, built an internal tool in 2018. And while we used this for 3 years before telling anybody it existed, I think we shared it with a client after an All-Star game, and they said, wait, you've made a system where you can paste a link from social media and figure out who made the content? Why does nobody else have access to this? So we spun it off and turned it into this tool that's now being used across the globe. So I'll show you a little bit about how it works. I was going to live demo and test that it would work in person, but instead I just recorded myself live demoing. So you see this beautiful picture of Giannis from the All-Star game. If you paste the link to that Instagram post into Gondola, you get to click on the post and see the basic information. We do not pull the content in. We aren't ripping the content, so aren't ownership issues. It's all embedded. And then you add the credits. You'll see I just added, I'll pretend I'm typing. I just added Fresh Tape Media as the production company for the NBA, and that credit gets added into Gondola so that anybody else who opens this post now can see who's behind the content. It's not just about the companies, though. It's about the people. So if you see now, I'm adding Avalon as the producer and Mikey as the photographer. This is real data from the All-Star game a couple weeks ago. And you'll see that they worked for Fresh Tape Media, the production company, and now anybody can see this information when they go to this post. The really cool thing is this powers Fresh Tape Media's Gondola page, which is not only a public portfolio of everything we do, but it's a content management system. I can go in here and see on the NBA's side, we've made 739 posts for the NBA for 237 million views. I can break it down by file type. I can break it down by social platform. There's so much you can do with just this one tool, which is also a public thing that I display. This has been gate-kept, all this data. Everybody thinks that social data should be gate-kept, and we are saying, let's reveal it to the world. The next thing that we've done in the last couple of months is launched AI tools for content identification. So if you're thinking, oh, that was pretty manual to add that information in, now we have a system where if you go to a post, you see this post of Anthony Edwards, we can not only, once you add the credits once, show that data, but now we can show all the other times that photo was used on social media by other platforms. Really valuable for people, especially when they're trying to track their earned media. The next big thing is the hiring tools. We launched the creator search sort of last minute before our public launch last February, thinking, oh, maybe people would like this. We didn't know that this would become the default way that the NHL and a lot of other organizations are finding their creatives. So you can go in here and look for videographers in Boston, and you're not just getting a random list from Fiverr or Upwork or something like that. You're getting sports creatives that have actual visible examples of content they've created. And if you look at this example, I just clicked on, I think I typed videographers in Boston, and I am now going to type in UMass, because I want to see something specific. I can see videographers for UMass hockey. Like, this level of data has never been available to the public, and that's why these sports organizations love using it. The last thing is dashboards for analytics for the NFL or other organizations. If they want to know how their team is performing, we have creator dashboards. So I can see out of 6,500 posts, Alana Moritz is responsible for 254 million views. I can see that Avalon is responsible for 144 million. When I'm making hiring decisions, this data is really invaluable. So we've had amazing growth so far. We've got over 6,000 users or creators signed up, 24,000 credited companies. We have a dedicated social following, and most importantly, the major sports leagues are all using Gondola. There's not a single team in any of the 4 major sports leagues in the US that doesn't have creatives taking credit on Gondola already. The creator market is massive. For those of you that aren't super familiar with sort of the size of this industry right now, influencer marketing is huge. These are just some fun stats on sort of how much people are consuming content on social media. You have so many freelancers, and the gig economy is massive, but so is the hiring market. This is the size of the global recruiting market, 29 billion. My favorite is, this is like a quote from Imri, who works as an AD at Harvard. He said, "Gondola is one of those things that people don't really know exists until they find out about it, and then they wonder how they never knew it existed. When I have candidates applying for creative jobs, I always look them up on Twitter, Instagram, and Gondola. It's routine." We have become the default, and if you're thinking about whether you should hire a creative via LinkedIn, which is just a text version of their resume, or Gondola, Gondola is the no-brainer. Also, when it comes to these creative solutions, when you hear people say the creator economy, they're always talking about freelancers and influencers, and there's so much more than that in this industry. We both touch B2B and B2C, because we know that in order for somebody to want to use our B2B product, we need to have a lot of creators on the platform. They both love the access that this product provides. And the revenue model is threefold. We have the B2B model, which we haven't even launched other than to one client, and I can't say which professional sports league it is, but it's up there somewhere. We are launching enterprise tools for the sports leagues, teams, and brands. We also have a B2C tool, which is sort of our pro account, premium account, and then eventually we're going to launch in the next few months C2C payments, so letting creators that are really proud of their work sell their templates and project files. Growth plan is product-led growth. We want to be great as a product. We want people to use us every day. We're not just going to be used when people are looking for jobs. We have a sales and outreach model for getting B2B accounts, and then network effects. People, if you go on Twitter right now, you'll see people talking every single day saying, I hit 10 million likes on Gondola, or check out my Gondola profile. There's 3 phases of the company. Currently, we're in the second phase after being an internal tool where we are the IMDb of social. We have a one-sided marketplace in terms of finding the creatives and basic content identification. In the next 18 months, we will really become this LinkedIn for the creative community, SaaS for B2B and B2C, and then the two-sided marketplace with jobs and gigs. So instead of just finding people on Gondola, we'll let people post jobs and apply to work for different organizations and have more enterprise data. I would say you can trust me, but I trust the opinions of our users most. It has been really exciting to see how people have fallen in love with our product. We're so proud of what we created. This is all bootstrapped still. We haven't raised a penny yet, and we already have this extraordinary adoption by the major leagues. And most importantly, the creatives feel empowered. They feel valued, and as your teams invest more and more money into the content they publish on social media, we're proud to be on their side. So, any questions?
So we have 1 minute.
1 minute? Oh,
55 seconds left. Help me understand the different entities. You mentioned Fresh Take and you mentioned this company. I'm a little confused.
Sure. Fresh Tape's the production company that spun it off. It was called Fresh Tape Admin. We spun off Gondola. It's a whole new entity. Fresh Tape has its own team. I don't really need to do anything for Fresh Tape anymore.
But Gondola has IT rights from Fresh Take?
Yeah, all assigned to Fresh Tape has assigned all its IP to Gondola for the former admin product.
Does Gondola have any headcount?
3 full-time engineers and me.
All right.
If it's good.
No, it's okay. We gotta be fair.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Oh, shoot. I had a slide that said questions. I should have gone to that faster. Thank you.
As we're transitioning to our next startup, I'd like to inform all startups that the awards and prizes will be announced at the Alpha Awards later today at 5 p.m. So we will not be revealing the winners immediately after the competition. It will be at the Alpha Awards today at 5 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well. My name is Faisal Haq. I'm the CEO of formOle. Okay. Do we need to? Okay. We're visiting from Santa Clara, California. Good, thank you. Our presentation today is about athletic skills training. We all know that core skills of a sport are fundamental to your journey in the sport, but we also know that learning those skills takes time, repetition, and proper coaching throughout. Unfortunately, amateur sports organizations struggle with delivering this most essential need. Most commonly, they don't have enough coaches on staff. That's a very common problem. They struggle with explaining the biomechanics involved in particular skills. And third, they largely focus on team-level performance and rely on the individual athlete to learn on their own. But recent advancements in video AI can finally address this gap. Specifically, it's the ability to extract animated, accurate 3D models of the athlete from a video of them performing a skill. Those 3D models enable a whole new dimension of visual learning and feedback. That's the technology. I'm going to ask Jack to explain how we've actually put it into a functioning solution.
Hi, my name is Jack Murphy, co-founder of formOle. formOle is skills practice, but in 3D. Using just their phone, athletes can record, analyze, and compare their form while practicing skills. Modeling these results in 3D allows the athlete to view themselves from multiple angles, even though it's not recorded. It also allows for simple and fast comparison against either a coach or other high-level players. This rapid visual feedback is far more effective than just statistics alone. Our 3D models enable kinesthetic learning, which is learning through interaction. Here, an animation is played out, showing the outcome of an athlete's form in a tactical exercise. For example, whether or not they need to apply the bent finish or power finish that they've already pre-recorded. This encourages both peer participation and healthy competition at the same time. formOle makes it easy for any club in any sport to train its athletes. We make it simple for a coach to demonstrate a skill, and then for an athlete to copy that skill. From soccer to dance to yoga, our platform is truly collaborative, making it easy for any coach, athlete, or peer to hop onto the app and then either offer or receive mentorship.
Our go-to-market consists of 3 types of deployments. In the first, an individual can just download our app and get started practicing and analyzing their skills. In the second type of deployment, a club will use our platform as a way to push out team assignments to their athletes that they can then go and practice offline at home and get better at it over time. And then the third model, what we call mentored learning, is where an aspiring athlete can look at one of the stars that have partnered with us and learn directly from them, learn skills directly from them. Regardless of the deployment model, we have a lot of sharing features that drive network effects and virality. We are a B2B2C company, so our revenue comes from our partnerships with clubs and organizations that then connect us to users who generate revenue through the purchase of premium features. The clubs and organizations that we partner with can also purchase premium features such as team management and those sort of things. The total addressable market is actually $35 billion of global youth spend on sports, spend on youth sports. Of that, we believe our obtainable market is $1 billion based on specific geographies and verticals that we believe we can achieve. There's a lot of competition, but we feel that we have an advantage in terms of our use of 3D models for comparison and animated exercises. Right now, we are pre-revenue. We are focusing in this year on product and partnerships with a goal to achieve 15,000 monthly active users by year end, which will then put us on track in the next year to a 1 million ARR. My background is from Cisco Systems, specifically the WebEx division, where I developed AI-based video solutions, resulting in over $1 billion of revenue for the company. Jack brings youth coaching expertise and expertise in sports management. And we have an outstanding team of advisors from the companies shown. Our initial product is available online. You can download it and get started. We are in trials with specific soccer clubs and organizations, and we are iteratively rolling out features, learning from them, and continuing our advancement. And we are here today seeking a pre-seed round of $350K to achieve our 2023 goals. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you. It's like a time warp, so I don't know if 12 minutes passed or not.
Can you tell me a little bit about like the baseline form? How is that input generated when an athlete is comparing against, best skill?
Yeah, that's a good question. So first of all, we're part of Santa Clara University, so we have a lot of Santa Clara University soccer players who have recorded on our app, and that helps us build an average and golden average. So we can always fall back on a comparison of that golden average for each of those skills. However, we want to get a little bit away from just doing numerical comparisons and want to do 3D comparisons and reflect on those 3D models, areas that need focus. So moving away from the numbers, looking at 2 3D models and highlighting regions of differences.
Two questions. One quick, you said we are part of Santa Clara University. Can you clarify that?
We're just alumni of Santa Clara University. There's no other relationship.
All right, okay. Very sensitive to IT when it comes to university.
Yes, that's true.
So with all the startups yesterday, I mentioned to you that I really would like to see some insight as to progress you've made with some of your users so far. So what have you learned so far from your current users that you think will influence your future direction?
Yeah, that's a great question. Jack and I, some months ago, went out to, just as an example, a soccer club in Oakland. And we worked with them over multiple days to do recordings and analysis. And we were observing what the youth, our end users, were most gravitating toward. And of course, of all the results that we were showing, the video, the numbers, the scale, and the graphics, they were all gravitating toward the graphics. That's their first place that they look. And so that was a big clue for us to move away from numerical and show more visual learning. We're in other trials as well right now. We just had a winter camp over the holidays, so all the clubs were shut down. Winter storm in California, but we had the app up and we said, hey, why don't you guys go out and record? So there were several teams that went out and practiced in their backyards in between rain showers. And we were seeing if they would use the app as a sort of what their daily usage would be. So that was very insightful as well. We've done a lot of similar experiments.
So you said that it's a B2B to C model with the ultimate licensee being the athlete. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. The end user.
And what is the price point for the end user?
What would we charge them? There are quite a few numbers behind it. In general, there are several features, right? There is customizations of the model. There are interaction features, like if you want to chat with the star, you have to pay for that. So we're in the middle of pricing those out, but from a financial point of view, Our target is to make $10 on each user throughout the year. And so then
Over the course of the year, not
over the
per
course-
month.
Yes.
Okay.
So, got less than 2 minutes, but so I served on the board of directors at the Scarsdale Youth Soccer Club. Right, so we're the second largest soccer club in New York, next to New York City. Right, so only New York City is larger than us. So you pitch to me. I'm on the board of directors. What's the proposition?
Yeah, that's a good one. So I would say, listen, the coaching, getting coaches,
How much is it going to cost me?
it's going to cost you nothing to get started. You can get on the platform right now.
How much is it going to cost my parents?
Yes, so it depends on the features that they want. For instance, those
They
modeling.
want everything.
So then we're back to that $10 in the year.
And as a result, the parents will see what as an outcome?
As a result, they will, well, the ultimate goal is to improve their skills, enable them to practice with guided practice on the app, and not have to be dependent on coaches or private coaching, which, by the way, is hundreds of dollars, right? Thousands in some cases. So this is a much cheaper option and a connected option to do it. That's a good question.
Do we have any more questions for formOle? No?
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Just click this button. Morning. My name is Tarek. I'm the CEO at Athstat. We do three things at Athstat. We connect to your data, sports teams, competitions, leagues, sports organizations. We connect your data via API, or we can use CSV, any type of data that you create. We ingest that into our platform. We sort it, we manage it for you, and then we make it available. We can make it available via API, or we can do it in our own analytics suite as well. In addition to that, going forward, we've started to add in a layer of AI as well. Everybody wants AI. It's a buzzword right now. Whether you're doing it or not is debatable, but we are leveraging the data to help teams make better decisions. So what is the actual problem we're solving? It's a data management question. Sports teams are becoming huge data creators. GPS, video, biometrics, you name it. Going down to NCAA D3, high schools, they're all buying wearables. But what is the return on investment on those, right? We talk to analysts, and you kind of, we'll ask them, what are you doing? Guy will throw up a 50-sheet spreadsheet, 20 macros, the thing crashes, but, he's using it. And the nice thing about analysts is they're very, very interested in their own work, and there's a great amount of interest in doing better. Best case scenario, we're seeing teams are using Tableau, Power.ai, tools like that on their laptops. That is not a data management solution. 2 careers ago, I was the chief data architect in customs enforcement, ICE. We have the data from the largest transactional database in the world. There is a huge data management issue in the US government. The US government started solving that issue during the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. You cannot make mistakes in the battlefield. Bad data in is bad data out. It is uncanny, the similarities between an Intel analyst and a sports analyst. They all deal with a data management issue. A lot of them don't have the tools or the knowledge to solve that. This is the 3-layer cake. This is boring stuff. This is not cool. This is IT architecture and data architecture, but it's super important. As I said, bad data in is bad data out. Ma'am, you asked me yesterday how we're different to a Snowflake. Snowflake gives you the middle layer. They're an MSP. They don't give you the bottom and the top. You've still got to do that. If you want to use Databricks, if you want to use Tableau in the cloud, if you want to use Power BI in the cloud, enterprise data solutions, you've got to hire a team of DevOps specialists. you've got to hire IT technicians. We take that away from teams having to do that. So we provide that. We provide white glove services, ProServe, for teams that want to get into the cloud, want to commingle their data. If you don't commingle your data, you cannot get the insights from it that you need in order to make better decisions. So we're focused on niche sports. So I apologize if there's anyone from New Zealand or South Africa here, but in the US, rugby is a niche sport. That's one of our bigger ones. Field hockey, lacrosse. We're going into esports as well. We currently work with the Lakers gaming team. Esports are great for analytics. They have a huge amount of machine-readable data that they generate. A lot of them are not using it. So what do? We organize your data. We make it simpler. We let you focus more on coaching and making decisions. And you can get to Athlete 360. So there's such a thing as Customer 360, understanding what your customer does throughout the life cycle of using a product. It's the same with an athlete. An athlete has a lot of data points that come with them. If you ask an analyst today to do a time series for their best scorer for over 3 years and their heart rate during the times when they were the best scorer, a lot of teams cannot do that because they do not have their GPS, box scores, and biometrics in the same place. That's the Athlete 360. If you do not have solid data management practice and data that is commingled and understandable, you cannot get the insights you need down to the athlete level. You can apply as many chat GPTs or AI tools as you want. If you do not have the data organized, the AI tools are not going to be as optimized as you need them to be. Where are we going? I mentioned artificial intelligence. We largely apply that to the sports betting industry. So we're currently creating the odds for Major League Rugby, and we're going to start doing that for PR7s, the first pro Rugby 7 league in America. Having the data in a single place lends itself well to then crunching predictions and odds. Web3 as well. Web3 is the future. It is going to happen. Crypto is a part of it. It's an unfortunate current hanger-on, but in the next few years, Web3 is going to be very, very pivotal to many transactions. Anything that's transactionable on the web today is going to move to Web3. Use cases, competitions, and league management, that's kind of a good place for us because we combine a lot of data. We make that data available to administrators. They can see it on a dashboard. They can get it in real time. I'm not talking about ESPN, NFL, baseball, basketball. These are smaller leagues. We're going to start working with the American Universal Disc League. They have data. They need to present it. Sports bettors want their odds as well. That second one, performance analytics, that is a tough one. That's the hardest one for us. It's like bringing a machine gun to a knife fight with a lot of analysts. They don't feel like they need data management and data architecture principles. They get overwhelmed. They're in analysis paralysis. But the intention or understanding of what data management does for you is lost. And it takes a lot of socialization at the organizational level in order to get a product like ours in. So probably the one with the highest barrier to entry. I mentioned sports betting and Web3. Again, those are offshoots of having our data management product and getting the data in a single place from organizations and teams. We are going to start minting a stats-backed NFT. We have the stats. We've built a platform on Ethereum as well. We're going to start minting those and release that in about 2 weeks. It is a specific type of transaction. The focus, again, on niche sports and allowing, for example, small teams to fundraise. If you've got stats, if you've got an interest in finding money, a lot of niche sports need funds. Minting a stats-backed NFT will allow them to sell that and get funds. Some of our customers, I don't have approval for one of those logos, so I'm going to blow through that one. The one thing I kind of do, last thing I do want to mention is I've been an Intel analyst for a long time. I've helped put a lot of people in jail because I had good data, right? The razor-thin margins on sports teams these days mean that you need every leg up you can get. But if you have bad data, you're going to fail. You're not going to be able to get the insights you need. That's it from me.
A follow-up to the discussion we had yesterday. Who do you view as your internal customer? Like, who are you selling into at an organization like the rugby league you mentioned?
So for the sports analytics, it would be the head analyst. So, you know, it's kind of twofold, right? Selling IT is tough because you've got the guy who needs it and the guy with the checkbook. Guy who needs it is a sports analyst. He's got to then sell it internally to the CEO or whoever runs the organization, the guy with the checkbook. So that's why it's the most difficult sell. You've actually got two hops in order to make it.
So what's your pitch to convince the guy with the checkbook that you don't need just Tableau or Snowflake?
One, if your analyst leaves next year, he's leaving with his laptop and his data. You're going to then have to spend money to retrain someone, get all that data again. Depending on the size of the organization, that could be 50, 60K, right? You've then, the other side is the ability to do additional things with the data, making money off your data when it's all commingled and in the same place.
So I'm a big fan of data and sports, spent over 20 years in the space. I created the first database for the NFL. It was the first league to ever think about what the heck a database was. So tell me, and I can tell you from the early years, it's a lot of pain, especially if you're a data analyst. You work for a league and sports organization, it's a lot of pain because just getting access to data. And when you get access to data, most of it is crap. So you tell me what you did for Major League Rugby, because all the crap they gave you, what did you do with it? How did you organize it? And then what did you do to make it productive that they can monetize it?
So we connected via API to Moby, which is the stats provider. I think they probably provide about 200,000 lines of data a game. We push that into a Spark pipeline on the back end. We have a set of data cleaning scripts we run. We organize that data into an ontology, and we store that in MongoDB. We then create another profile for that in Postgres. That data goes into OpenSearch, which is the AWS fork for Elastic. We then present that data onto a dashboard once it's gone through that data management lifecycle, and you get, for 5 games, you get the pre-game odd, and you get the in-game odd as the game plays, updated every 2 minutes.
So be specific. What insight do you provide that allows them to be better at making business decisions now so that they can either save money or make money?
Who specifically?
Your client, Major League.
You're talking about Major League Rugby? Well, I mean, the net gaming revenue from those odds is how they make money. And so we're taking it from the stats provider who's just creating an immense amount of data into the odds that the books can then use. So in that whole process, unless you've got a pipeline that can crunch that, FanDuel has it, Caesars have it. No, the big organizations do. The next level down, like MLR, they do not. So we provide that data pipeline to get that data from a very vast amount into the odds that the books can use and make money off them.
So is it primarily, is your relationship with Major League Rugby just for betting then?
Correct.
Oh, okay. So that's very different then. Okay.
Yeah. It's SIS is a sports provider, so they don't have a data backend, so we provide that to them.
So that's not the use case that you presented in your slide. So do you have any customers that are using the use case that is broader business impact?
Yeah, St. Bonaventure, D1A rugby. They have GPS from SPT. They have box scores that we get from the team. And they had biometrics as well from Beyond Pulse. We bring that data together. So we get all that data. We have the team and the athlete ID. And then we present that into a dashboard for them so they can see either at the team or player level the stats over the course of the season or for a specific game. Thanks a lot.
Let's go. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming. And thanks for Sloan MIT for a fantastic conference, number 17. Great conference. My name is Paulo Costa. I'm the CEO and co-founder of SportsPowerAI. And I'm a former IBM employee for 15 years. I worked for IBM doing data mining, advanced analytics since 1992. I was doing this over there. In the last 13 years, I worked for Cisco Systems as director for advanced analytics in California. And now I'm working, creating this company with two other folks, the SportsPowerAI. And it's not moving. I'm sorry? Okay. So I will start to talk anyway, but basically in 2019, I came to this conference and I had the chance to talk with Bob Myers, the general manager for Warriors, the basketball team. I talked also with Mike Zarin from Celtics. And I had the opportunity to talk with coaches and a lot of different professionals from analytics. And I realized that after talking mainly with Bob Myers, that we had one major problem in sports analytics that was very similar to the problem that I had in business when I worked for Cisco and IBM. So the coaches, the analysts, they were drowning in data. Too much data, and they don't have any, okay, that's it. And basically too much data, and they don't have any way to deal with this amount of data. I remember, for example, Bob mentioning that he cannot generate a 20-page report to a coach before the game. This is too much. And he's not able to generate a lot of insights during the season because they don't have time to process the data available and to analyze the data and shrink the data into information to the coaches. And basically, he was able to produce some analytics during the playoffs because he has more time and he has more games to analyze. And this was definitely a problem with us also in business. We generate at Cisco and IBM a lot of reports, a lot of tools for executives, and they were, to be honest with you, underused dramatically because there is too much data. They don't have time to analyze the data, and this was creating basically a bottleneck for the organizations. And I asked them this question about the possibility to create an AI assistant coach that will digest this data and try to translate this in real time to the coach in actions, recommendations, actual recommendations that he can apply during the game. And the majority of the analysts that I talked about this, they said that this is probably possible in 20 years, 15 years. Maybe we will have something that will allow the coaches in real time to interact with AI assistant coach by voice like Alexa or something like this. But nobody actually believed that this will be in a very short time frame, like a couple of years. But in the recent months, a lot of people saw what is going on in AI. So GPT-3 and all this DAO in terms of image, OpenAI, etc. And now talking with the same people, they changed their opinion. They believe that this could be very feasible in the short time frame. Right? And actually, since 2019, SportsPowerAI has one objective, was to develop an AI assistant coach that actually will augment the decisions of the coach in real time for professional basketball teams. Right? And we have been doing this since then. So we had two partners initially. The first was TechGraph. TechGraph is a laboratory connected with a Catholic University of Rio de Janeiro. It's a center of excellence in Brazil for data analysis. They have laboratories working petroleum exploration, simulations, etc. They have a lot of very good PhDs in developing new models, and they are actually helping us a lot do some research and develop specific models for the AI coach. And Flamengo is one of the largest soccer teams in the planet, probably with more than 50 million supporters around the world. And Flamengo has a very good basketball team also. Flamengo is actually more than 10 Olympic sports. They have leadership in several sports in Brazil. Flamengo was our first client, right? Was our first client. And when we started to work with Flamengo, they had the notion that they are getting a risk to work with us. They are trying something absolutely new. In the end, nothing will probably show up or probably not show up. So basically, Flamengo was trying to, they decided to go with us because they believed that they will get some competitive advantage from the others. And in the end, this finally succeeded because Flamengo was last year using the system, the worldwide FIBA champion of the world, right? So, and we have here the coach of Flamengo with the yellow shirt and the general manager of Flamengo with the green shirt. They're both now also the coach and the general manager of the Brazilian basketball team that go to the Olympic Games, next Olympic Games. And we have some of them with some testimonial from them. Let's play here. Can you increase the volume?
Desenvolvimento da equipe. Nosso desafio para Analytics e inteligência artificial é obter informações elaboradas de forma rápida, precisa e valiosa para nos auxiliar nas tomadas de decisões e na preparação da equipe para cada jogo em tempo real. Espero que vocês gostem. Grande abraço.
Olá, sou o Diego Geleilati, diretor técnico das seleções masculinas de basquete e gerente de basquete do Clube de Regatas do Flamengo. Está sendo uma grande honra para mim falar desse projeto maravilhoso. O Bike é sim esse projeto inovador que transcende as barreiras da questão técnica, pois além de conseguirmos unir nesse mesmo projeto um assistente técnico AI que nos traz informação em tempo real, vamos conseguir aproximar o fã, a mídia e a gestão, trazendo mais inteligência na obtenção de informações complexas. Acreditamos sim que esse projeto terá um super impacto na indústria esportiva e deixará legado para outros esportes e instituições. Muito obrigado.
And after this, okay, thanks. After this, we just received news from Brazil that we closed an extended contract with them for $200,000 to extend the system with them, with Flamengo. And we are closing another contract with a third team in Brazil right now, Botafogo, in the sequence. So, so basically, I would like to talk very quickly about this. So basically, we decided to go in this route because we are trying to increase the revenue. In the end, sport analytics for the major franchises, sport analytics is trying to maximize revenue. Without romance, we are here for money. So, and basically the money is coming from performance maximization for the team and experience maximization for the fans. And we are attacking these two areas. Those are the problems related, the shortcomings that are actually appearing with the case of performance maximization. This is the example that I just talked about, the Bob Myers. They are drinking from the fire hose. So they have too much data, they cannot do anything with this data. We need to use AI actually to translate this data in actionable recommendations. Another thing is the coaches, they don't have a way to test their ideas. They don't have a way to test their approach. So we are working very intensively now in simulation tools that will allow the coaches to simulate the opponent teams and run several simulations before the game actually happens, so they can test what their ideas before the game actually happen. This reminds me of this play in Brazil that in the World Cup in 1958, the coach was explaining in detail how they need to beat the Russians, and the player said, who told the Russians to do this, right? This is exactly the idea. You create an idea for a game plan, but you need to test this game plan against a real simulation of the opponent. So we are working in this area also. In terms of fan experience, we are working also. One problem is the fans, they don't have access. They don't have access to complex information. They basically have available simple tables in the internet. If you want to query how many points LeBron James did in the last game, for example, you can find this easily. But if you need to combine several tables, like give me the number of points in this game in the first quarter, in this way, you will be forever trying to find this number. It's very complicated for the fans, and we have a solution for this that I will mention in a second. And in the end, this point is the fan that is able to influence the team only in the stadium. There is no way that the fan can influence the team outside the stadium. And we are developing a way to allow the fans to influence the team outside the stadium. So the solution, I have a couple of minutes only, but basically the solution that we have offered to the coaches, it's based on the ER monitor that we have. So it's like a ER monitor for the basketball team. And something like this, you monitor the team during the game. And here you can see all alerts, the system alerts, the code, the coach about specific situations that is going on. The system also, more alerts talking about different situations in the game. And here you have the interface, the text interface and voice interface with the coach. The coach can ask questions in English or in Portuguese, natural language, and the system will give them back the answer for the questions about basically anything about the game that is available in the database. And here I will jump. This is a capability that we have that allow the coach to do instant replay of any play that just happened in the game, during the game, right? And to close the presentation, we have the AI coach, assistant coach helping the coach. The AI assistant coach is also helping the fans. The fans can ask questions to the AI coach using WhatsApp, using a messenger tool. So it's not necessarily any app. There's no app involved. Okay. Thank you. So there's no tempo. Okay.
Go ahead. Thank you, sir. Hi, everyone. My name is Jackie Levy. I'm Chris Orlando. We're Athlogic. We're bringing advanced analytics to amateur sports. For high school football teams, we built an app so anyone on the sideline can use it to record play-by-play stats. For college football recruiters, we license access to our verified stats and game film. Now, you're probably thinking that sports analytics is a solved problem. Turn on the game, put on any sporting event, and you'll be bombarded with analytics. But go to a high school sporting event, and you'll see that that's not the case at all. The stats that are recorded are elementary, if they're recorded at all. Therefore, services like Max Preps that aggregates the stats but doesn't assist in the process of recording them doesn't work. In fact, the market is underserved. Over 95% of high schools can't afford to have someone record stats for their games. Now, there are video services like Huddle, where teams can go in, manually edit their game film into play-by-play clips, then go back and associate all the stats associated with those plays. This process is slower and structurally more expensive. Data is at the core of our product. And because of this, we're the only company that manages stat entry and film analysis. We figured out the model to bring advanced analytics to amateur athletics while simultaneously saving teams time and money. Analytics are no longer something that teams want to have. It's something that they need to have in order to remain competitive. Last year, we had 1,800 teams. 12% of all high schools used the Athlogic app to record over 1.3 million plays within 3 months of our launch.
Athlogic turns anyone to a statistician. With our app, users can record play-by-play stats from the sidelines with their phone. And after every play, we verify that the stats are accurate using our proprietary verification system. And since plays are recorded in real time, we can automatically break the game film down into play-by-play clips and then automatically annotate them with the events from that play. While our peers take days, Athlogic film is available to high school football teams within 30 minutes. And this matters because high school football teams need film analysis software. Athlogic's just the first company to automate the entire process. Additionally, this data is extremely valuable to college football recruiters, where they can license access to the stats and the game film recorded on it. This is revolutionizing how college football recruiting takes place, and it's also saving them time and money on the entire recruiting process. We've also started generating revenue. We're projecting $750,000 in sales in 2023, with a significant portion coming from a contract with the state of North Carolina and their Department of Education. Today, we're leveling the playing field for high school football. Tomorrow, by entering new sports and geographies, we're leveling the playing field for every athlete, every sport, everywhere. If you're interested in working with us or investing, please come find us afterwards. Thank you.
So tell me about the game film. We didn't really hear much about that yesterday. Who records the film and provides it?
Yeah, so teams are already recording game film and they're using other softwares to do this. So they'll still use that same person who's recording game film. Usually it's a parent or an assistant coach on the sidelines. And then afterwards they just upload it onto our software and it's available usually within 10 minutes, but at most 30 minutes we've seen.
And do you have to be a user, like an end user of the platform to upload stats or film?
So the head coach is the one who's responsible for managing all the data quality. So we have a reputation score assigned. So users are incentivized to record accurate stats. That helps the team actually maximize their performance. So anyone can use that one for free. And then with our film product, teams can subscribe to that one as a premium feature for $1,000 a year, which is about the going rate for the base model of our competitors and peers.
And then final question before I turn it over. You just said the team manager is responsible for the data quality. What do you mean by that?
Oh, I meant a head coach, but yeah.
Okay, so tell us what you mean by that.
The head coaches can oversee all the reputation scores for the users who are recording stats. So as a brief example about how the reputation score works, imagine there's 5 people on the sidelines recording stats, and then 4 of them say it was a 5 or 6 yard rush play, and then Johnny's mom goes in and she says Johnny ran 55 yards and scored a touchdown because she knows that recruiters see those stats. The system will flag that, so it won't be actually included with the displayed score for the coaches and recruiters, and it'll penalize her score, but all the other scores will have their reputations affected based on their accepted input.
And so what's the coach's role in all of that?
Yeah, the coach can oversee all of the reputation scores from the users. So if Johnny's mom keeps on, putting in touchdowns for her son, then he can remove access from Johnny's mom, and then all the other users can continue access on there. Did that answer your question, or?
Kind of.
So I know way too much about this space. Having been CEO of a company that conquered the space, we got very, very lucky. After our seed round, we raised Series A, Series B, Series C, and then it got acquired by ESPN. So I guess I'm trying to think what it was like before we did our pre-seed round and what questions investors asked us. I think one of the primary was, I have no idea what you're talking about. Show me a use case. So show me like your best high school, right? I think you mentioned North Carolina Department of Ed. Show me what you do for them. Or tell me if you don't have it.
So I'm sorry, can you repeat the question one more time? Give it to me again.
Which part?
You're saying, so what is the user experience?
Well, your best use case. So investors, I think at pre-seed round, your pre-seed, would come up to me and say, I have no idea what you're talking about. Show me a use case. Show me your best school and what you do for them.
Okay. Well, I guess we're pretty unique because we see how we benefit like different parties of the year like uniquely. So we solve a problem for the high school football teams where
Give me one example. Pick one.
Okay.
Pick your best one.
What do you think?
Go Brookdale. Brookdale.
You can go ahead.
So we created a sports analytics club for the high school at the school up here in Massachusetts, where when we put it out there to see if anyone was interested, within the first 2 hours, we had 60 students sign up for this club. So they would go in, utilize the app while the game is going on. Once the game is over, we send them a file, show them how to manipulate the data. So over the course of the season, they'll get a foundation of analytics.
Okay. So at this stage, there's a lot so far as the product and what it can and can't do. Either in the past, what do you think you've solved for that you think is a major accomplishment? And or in the near-term future, what are the biggest obstacles you need to solve for?
So the first part of that question was...
Maybe your major accomplishment to date.
Oh, I mean, our major...
And if it's related to the product or sales, that'd be great.
Yeah. So last year we launched, and we had initially, during our first week, 200 teams using our application. And then pretty much mostly through organic means, we grew to have over 1,800 teams within that 3 or 4 month period during the season, finishing with about 1,800 teams. And depending on like the amount of high school football teams that season, it's about 12% of all high school football teams in the country, recording 1.3 million plays. And I got first introduced to sports analytics when I was in high school, taking stats for the football team because I was a popular high schooler. And that's...
So let me pause here. Now, looking forward, what are the biggest obstacles you have to solve for? One or two?
I mean, our biggest obstacle...
Because I can tell you what they are, but go ahead.
Yeah. So our biggest obstacle right now is really just refactoring our entire code base right now into a scalable architecture. So I just coded the whole thing myself the last round. I was teaching myself to code as I went, so it's not the cleanest, but I think that would probably be our biggest one.
What do you think our biggest challenge is?
So you mentioned how many schools you have. How many are active every week?
It was like 92 or 93% return rate every week, and I think that was because of the bye weeks. So we had very high engagement. There were some accounts that remained inactive, and I didn't include that in the number, but it's a couple percentage.
Okay.
We have a minute left. Would anybody from the audience like to ask Athlogic any questions? No? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Good luck, Bella. Great job. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Boris Tyomkin. Thank you for having me here. I made a long way from Israel after hours immediately after my youngest son's wedding, then jet lag, and I'm here, so I'm very sorry about probably I will not be so clear sometimes. Don't hesitate to ask me any question, okay, for clarifying. What we have created in the last 2 years is the platform for the coaching and the developing of the personal abilities of the young and amateur sports athletes and the sportsmen. Today, it's the team sports practice always develop the team abilities, and to become bigger and better sportsmen, any player have to make a lot independent work. So how to do it in the right way is the big question, or one possibility is to hire some private coach, and actually that's all that they have. What we have created the system where the coach is able to create the sets of the drills and distribute it to the users' smartphones. What kind of problems we can solve here? So now the coach doesn't have to appear in personal, physical, or video conference session with the player. Another problem that we can solve that most of fitness apps are not interactive. There's only a set of videos that distributed to the users, and the users have to execute it at home without any relevant feedback about their performance. The another problem with those systems is that all of them are one size fits all. There is no space for some personalization and abilities regards to specific user. And if some organization wants to create such system, sophisticated system, it costs very, very price. So what we have done, we developed the platform where we provide the coaches with drill editor. In this editor, any coach can just to take the drill, split it in the control points, assign the values, and create the model that will be distributed to all users. For example, if I'm making some squat, the important thing is to have 90 degrees in my knees. My eyes should sight forward, etc. So all these kind of elements of correct execution, any coach able to put into the system and assign it to the user, assign to the group of users, etc., according to the abilities each of one. This is on the golden standard creation. Now about what's going on the edge side. On the edge side, we have the SDK, the small piece of software that could be easily installed in any other sport application. And this SDK is connected to the database of the drills designed for this specific player. In this way, the coach philosophy, coach eyes just persist during the private session at home, at field, anywhere. Why? Because it's running on the smartphone. All processing that we done is done on the smartphone itself without uploading to cloud, processing there and getting done. We have both versions, iOS and Android. Yesterday, some guy came to our stand and asked us about how it works and where the processing done. And he was very unhappy to hear our answers because this guy comes from AWS. There is no payment for the cloud providers. What I tell is about the core technology. What about what our platform is include? We have, as I say, the drill editor, the combiner. Any coach can combine the drills into the practice session to assign it to specific player, to group of players, to assign it to the players or users from some age group or from some gender, etc., etc. We have full analytic module for the tracking of and monitoring of the progress or regress of the sportsman, of the users. It's super important when we want to follow and to see the progress or probably regress, and then we have paid attention what happened on and to prevent the injuries and to learn more. So actually our platform able to digitalize the execution and put it in the numbers. Also, we taking care very carefully about the GDPR. What we send from the smartphone to the cloud is only digitalized data of the skeletons and the values of the control points without the video. If the user wants to share the video with the coach, no problem, not a problem. He have just to click the box, and the video with execution and feedback will share it with the coach, and he able to review and put some remarks and communicate with the user. Market size. From our research, our sport apps market estimated about $15 billion, but thanks to formOle, they provide another much bigger number, $35 billion. And yeah, we believe that one of most important things from those sport applications is to create some higher engagement. For the people, you know, to see some drill and do not have feedback, it's not so funny. So our system provides such feedback, provides the history of execution, and we believe it will be very popular in the next years in the whole world. And again, where provide the SDK is just small piece of software ability to analyze the execution. About the prices, those premium features will cost to the users, according to what our client says, about something between $8 up to $20. So our part here should be very small. We're asking $1 from the end user license. And what we have paid attention that our clients looking to work on the revenue share based with us and not by flat price for the end user. Where our solution is going on. First of all, mobile SDK, as I said, we're in negotiation with few fitness companies. Application, biggest of them have 1 million active users per month. They're very loved, and I strongly believe we'll sign the agreement with them in a few months. The another usage of our system is in the coaching platforms for specific niches like football, basketball, etc. We also have a client who provide basketball coaching, highlights, statistics, etc. They have implemented our solution on their platform. Our go-to-market strategy includes some marketing research. We have launched our platform 5 months ago. 0 outbound connections we created, but we got about 100 very relevant requests from the market. And a lot of them comes from the private coach who are looking to expand their audience, to share their philosophy and knowledge with the users, but they're limited by time. How much time in the personal meetings, every coach has to spend time only on one student. With our system, the smartphone become coach eyes on any practice done by athletes. And the last one, also very popular, we got a lot of requests, is a fan engagement. This week, we got very good conversation meeting with FIBA. They want us to create the system where they distribute and advertise some drill made by some famous basketball player and invite all fans around the world to participate to competition. On their smartphone, the system will generate some score, and there will be prizes, etc. And it's very important for the FIBA, and not FIBA, also the private coaches in Spain right now in negotiation with us, biggest clubs. I don't want to mention the name right now, but biggest clubs want to make stronger connection with the fans, to engage them into the sport, to make them to do more sport generally. So what the benefits for our system comes to the users? So first of all, the personal development. I don't want to banally, but it's true. The repetition makes perfect. So it's very important to work by themselves, but this work must be analyzed and estimated by some professional. Coaches supervision, coaches able to review and provide the feedback to the users as well. Result tracking, injury prevention, all what I mentioned already before. Here are some examples about how the system is worked. You can see, for example, on the soccer player, he kicking the ball, and sometimes some control metrics become red. It means that he made mistake. When the red column means that the ball not high enough. The diagonal lines means that the ball should go vertical but not across, etc., etc. Here is some examples about our feedback. The platform includes all management, drill management. This is application side from one of the clients. Why we are better? Again, the SDK running on the smartphone increase the engagement. The user doesn't have to wait for the result until it comes from the cloud. Now we're very close to the 3D analysis of the workouts, into the real-time processing, etc. Here is our team. Questions?
Did I hear you correctly that you said it's up to the coaches to input the metrics?
Yes, self-service system.
And so do you find that most coaches are kind of qualified or of the mindset to enter in that level of detail?
20% of them.
Okay, and so what about the other 80%?
We have public library created by other coaches and shared on the system.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
No, I have the clicker. Thank you. Where should I put it? I'll start the clock. All right. Here. Well, good. Good morning. My name is Giuliano Pezzoli, and I am the founder and CEO of Palla.ai. For those that don't speak Italian, it means ball in Italian. We are a global company, but we are headquartered here in Boston. We bring artificial intelligence to the world of sports, and we're starting with football, soccer for you Americans. So why are we picking football? Apparently, the slides decided. Okay, why are we picking football? Well, historically, football has lagged behind other sports in the adoption of data science and artificial intelligence. This makes it an incredibly exciting field to be in. Additionally, think of one of the most common questions that a team asks themselves. Who should we buy and how much should we pay for them? Today, teams and agents don't really use analytical methods to answer these questions. And this leads to an impact of $5 to $10 billion, billion with a B, every single year. Here's an example, extremely common example. Two players with very similar performance, very similar observable characteristics, being traded in the same transfer window for hugely different valuations. Why is that? We're also not the only ones to think that this lack of a relationship between performance and valuation is having a significant impact. If you've read the news recently, you've seen that this is having a real impact that has caused the attention of the media, of financial regulators, and football associations. We've also spoken to professionals, and there's a huge appetite to understand how what they do on the field translates into dollars. So we believe this space is ripe for disruption. As everybody has said before me, there's a push to buying data sets and hiring analysts. We think there's two problems with this approach. Number one, not every team has the resources to go down this road. And number two, even those that do have the resources lack the tools to do this in the right way at scale. So we've created Palla.ai to address this very need. We want to be the one-stop shop for all of your football analytics needs, whether it's team management, talent scouting, match analysis, you name it. But we had to pick a place where to start. And so we have created an analytical and data-driven relationship between what a player does on and off the field and his or her valuation. We've chosen this for three reasons. Number one, as you've seen from this slide before, it's urgent. Number two, it has a huge financial and performance impact on teams. And number three, as far as first steps go, this is very well aligned with our long-term journey. So our first software as a service product offers teams and agents the tools to put a value on a player and to demystify which reasons are behind this valuation and to what degree. Our models run through tens of thousands of players, observing them through hundreds of different variables. And what can we answer today? So first of all, we can give you the valuation of a player. We can also demystify why this player has this valuation and what you should be working on as a team or as an agent to change this valuation. As we start looking outwards, we can also help teams with talent scouting because we can offer comparable alternatives for similar prices. As we dig a little deeper in this relationship between performance and valuation, we can actually help a team understand the true impact of a player on the team as a whole. And our machine learning powered predictions can actually go as far as saying a player's performance and valuation are likely to evolve like this in the near future. This helps a team manager both in the long-term strategic planning of the team, but also in the short-term reactions to those shocks that are very common in the field. So, what have we done until now and where are we going? So if you want to know the value of a player, we can tell you that. We can tell you that. We are doing it using some data sets that are widely available, combined with others that we have painstakingly curated in-house. We are able to ingest our customers' data, but also enthusiasts, fans, and open source contributors can give us their data that we input in our models. But we still think this is not enough. So we're going to start capturing our very own data sets using computer vision. Now, some on the team management side and on the technology company side have already started doing this using manual eyeball classifications. Some others are doing it in a more automated way with expensive setups in stadiums. We're going to take advantage of the fact that computer vision has taken huge leaps forward. So we are actually going to be able to capture data points that we think until now have been completely ignored. Our journey is not just to get more data points, but also to make them accessible to the teams that don't have the money for those expensive sets. So Palla users will be able, using their phones, to record a game, whether it be a pickup game somewhere in Kinshasa or a minor league in Brazil, and have access to the similar analytics to the teams that have the big expensive setups. Now, in turn, we get access to analytics on talent that until today has been almost completely invisible. Our journey of democratization of access to analytics is not just to give incredible analytics, but also to make them accessible to everyone through simple, human-like interactions. Something like this, where you interact with a platform like you would with a real-life human talent scout. Now, this is key to our mission to even the playing field between those that have access to almost unlimited resources and those that don't. Of course, you're still going to get value from using Palla if you have an army of data scientists. But for the first time, you're not going to be the only one that can take advantage of analytics. As I mentioned, our first use case is player evaluation. We are targeting the teams in the top 10 leagues globally, agents and agencies that manage more than $10 million worth of player portfolio, and all of their players. They represent the lion's share of the market. But we're almost instantly able to enter other markets like football analytics and talent scouting. And as our computer vision algorithm becomes better, we'll be able to take chunks out of other markets. How far have we come, and what have we accomplished? So first of all, with almost no external financing, our MVP is up and running. All of the questions you saw before, we can answer. We are actually working on proof of concepts with a number of these tier 1 teams that I have mentioned. As far as what we have accomplished, well, we're very honored to be here. We actually got out of stealth mode to be on this stage today. Secondly, we've spoken with a number of professionals from our target market, from the team side, the agency side, current and former players. And a significant number of them has given us letters of intent and endorsement. And some, with very high profiles, have actually gone on the record to say that we are one of the ways, that have the potential to be one of the ways forward. While speaking to these professionals, some were so impressed with our idea, our method, and the problem that we're solving that they actually asked us to join the team. Some are here today and came all the way from Europe. I couldn't ask for a more powerful endorsement. In conclusion, this is Palla.ai. We have a booth out there, so if you're curious, come and say hi. And we're currently fundraising our seed round, and I believe we have at least 2 minutes for questions.
Hi, do you have a use case that you can walk us through? I know you don't have a current club that you're partnering with right now, but do you have a use case or an example that you show a club, like what you could do for their current roster, how you value their needs, what players to assess, and then how much you could pay for each one?
So teams come to us usually saying, start by pricing these players. And the first reaction is shock at the speed at which we can actually deliver accurate results. Those teams that have analytics teams confirm that we are directionally in line with what they are doing.
Give an example of where you've priced 5 players that you could show or tell us.
They don't like to be named because this is but we've done it for one of the top teams in the Americas. They gave us a couple of players, and we've told them very specifically, this is a price if for your market, so it's contextual because you have to compare apples and pears.
So give me an example of a player that you forget the team. Just give me so I also judge the research paper competition, and there's a lot of this out there in the research paper field. So just give me a sense of how your insight analytics is different than what others might do.
For starters, we're taking into consideration stuff that happens outside of the field. Not a lot of people are doing that. I can tell you, you can probably guess that Instagram is positively correlated to a player evaluation. The more Instagram followers you have, the more money you are valued. You probably can't guess that Twitter is inversely correlated. So you want your players to look good, post cool things, but then you want them to shut up. This has an impact on how you as a team manage your social media presence. I can tell you that a staggering percentage of players lack social media presence. And I can quantify how much it's costing to the team and to the player. This is just a very practical example.
I have a question for you as a football fan. How does your model and system price a player that, say, is garnering interest from a Premier League team, even though that player is, say, based in South America, but they're garnering interest from a Premier League team versus interest from like the Dutch league? As you know, the Premier League has a lot more financial capability. Does your software account for that?
Absolutely. So first of all, you are compared with peers, and peers means leagues that are similar to you. But then we also offer a different, the other perspective. So for our Mexican example, we said this player is worth $3.7 million. To you, to the MLS, to the Argentinian and the Brazilian league. If you sell this player to Spain or to the Bundesliga or somewhere else, you're likely to get this other amount. And so you should seriously consider this kind of check. Thank you.
Good. Good. Okay. Welcome. Good morning. We are Kloutmachine, and today we're going to tell you the story of NIL. Let's begin with the first chapter that we're involved in. It's 2003, and there's been a murder on Baylor's campus. The head coach has illegally paid for 2 players to attend the team. And something's going to be a common thread that'll come up a lot. In the midst of this investigation, we find out the private financial dealings of college athletes. The coach attempts to cover up the fact that he's been playing for the players to go by saying one of them was dealing drugs. This is the largest scandal in NCAA history up until this time. Why is it in the midst of a murder investigation that we learn about players' private dealings? This should not be happening.
A drug bust. Ohio State memorabilia found at the scene, a fallout that led to a legendary coach being forced out, and 6 players were the face of one of the biggest college sports scandals in history up until that time in 2010. It encompassed free tattoos, sold jerseys, sold rings, and thousands of dollars worth of Ohio State memorabilia. Talking about $1 billion industry. I was on that team. I was one of 5 Buckeye players whose jerseys was being sold in stores. I did not get compensation for that. I was a business student with future business goals who understood that I was completely walled off from the business of college sports and college football. Right. Past regulation around NIL stifled growth and innovation in the space, and this was NIL before NIL.
Recently, a new chapter has been written in NIL, and a much more powerful institution than the NCAA has opened up business on college campuses. On day one, Kloutmachine was there putting capital in the pockets of college athletes, and we learned quite a lot by being there so early.
Yeah, we see the challenges. We see that the brands are challenged with navigating NIL and identifying, what's the best approach to getting a return on my investment. The agents are challenged with closing deals for their athletes as they see that there's a lack of data and transparency. They're saying that there's more data for the YouTuber and the TikToker. The collectives are challenged with identifying what should a player's value be. We see It was a $13 million deal for a high school athlete. And the fallout was, after he committed, after he signed, the backing for that money was non-existent. And the universities are trying to figure out how do we get a grip on what compliance looks like for this space, and how can we communicate to the player and the athlete's family, this is what your value should look like.
The market needs structure, and Kloutmachine is here to give it that. Using our Kloutmachine score, we have a data-driven algorithm that establishes an athlete's value every time they step off the field of play. We're looking at objective data points, things such as how often is the announcer saying your name in game, the size of the stadium that you're playing in, what's the cost of an average drink in that stadium. The score goes from 0 to 100, and it shows your performance on the field and how it impacts your exposure off of it. By doing this, we can translate your score to a dollar value and create a marketplace. This score now behaves as a common currency. It creates gamification on both sides of the ball. A brand or a business can understand how to maximize your ROI in dealing with the college athlete. The athlete now knows, what do I need to focus on to improve my NIL? Is it social media? Is it my performance? We're also a matching marketplace. You don't just going to scroll through endless lists of college athletes. If you put in the output you as a business want, is it eyeballs, is it clicks, you will be matched up with the athlete that can produce these results. Last but not least, we remove the barrier of understanding sports. If you don't know what a quarterback is, a defensive back, an interception, you can now engage in the athlete advertising market because you just need to understand the change from a 60 to an 80. The products that we have in place right now are a marketplace. If you've not been out to our table yet, you can go out there and send a deal to any one of the thousands of college athletes in the country. By making all these deals, we now have data that agents have lined up to get. Because all these athletes come to us before they become potential clients, they need to understand the deals that are occurring. Collectives and universities have lined up next to acquire this data.
And this is a new and growing market. There's 500,000 college athletes that continue to be replenished every year. There's $20 billion in North American sports sponsorship spend. There's entirely new entities being formed, like collectives, that have been around for just about a year, spending between $25,000 and $15 million annually. There's 100+ agencies dipping into the NIL market. And as we create the structure to allow for the free flow of funds, we expect to be able to drive more growth in the market.
This is the revenue model that we have. Chimney mentioned before there's 500,000 college athletes. We just want 8%, roughly 40K. Doing $1,000 per year at 20 deals a year generates 800M. So the team, there's me, the CEO and co-founder, Samto. Many of you have seen my co-founder out there, Noah. Our head of data, Gregory Clare. One team member that could not be here, Katrina Chambers. She's the agent to Heisman winner Eddie George. We get a lot of unique insights about what the market was like pre-NIL and what the very top of that market looks like. Last but not least, I'll let him introduce himself.
Chimney Chekwa, former business student who also was an All-American college football player, former NBA student who also played 6 years in the NFL, current investor, current entrepreneur who is passionate about connecting the athlete to the business of college sports.
Yes. So our traction today, the Kloutmachine marketplace was released about early August. More than 3,000 athletes have signed up and 500+ paid using the score. We have 1 million+ data points within the system.
And we are creating the infrastructure for such a new space. We're helping to reduce the risk of the university, the brand, the collectives whose challenge with trying to navigate NIL. There's still a little bit of uncertainty and ambiguity in the space. We are providing the transparency for all the stakeholders involved to allow for the free flow of funds, and we believe that will continue to drive growth and innovation in the space. We are creating a framework for information to allow for development of new solutions to take advantage of opportunities for growth in gaming and gamification. We are creating some level of data that a university and those who are interested, the NCAA, interested in the compliance element, be able to have the ability to report on why a player should get what the player is getting. And then we are also creating an opportunity to empower the athlete and the athlete support system to begin having the data and information to impact their own individual market value, but also to begin taking collective impact to advance the future of NIL.
Yes. So let me leave you in this final chapter of this discussion with what NIL looks like from another viewpoint. This is what a very modern day poet in our society views NIL as. Louisville hush money for my young gunners. Rick Pitino, I take them to strip clubs and casinos. He leaves out the part about the FBI investigation, but many of you in this room remember what happened. If our civilization was wiped away today and aliens came back and dug up artifacts about what we were doing, this is what they'd find. The business that many of us in this room are involved in, this is how general society views it. And it's now becoming just that, a business. It's above board. If you're in this room at this conference, it's because you care about sports and what's happening in our society. We have the ability to change these different chapters that we've seen and write a new one. We are Kloutmachine. This has been the story of NIL. Thank you.
Do you guys have any primary competitors?
Yes, you can look at influencers one and On3. We talk to them because they have some data. Open Doors, they completely only work with the school. Where on the athlete side, we do not interface with the school.
And then is there a reputational data element that goes into your algorithm?
Yes, yes. So the score, like we mentioned, understanding how many times your name is said, it's also contextual. So we can tell if your name is being said too many times for the wrong reasons. If you're getting patted down at games when you shouldn't be getting patted down.
Can you walk through a use case where you've helped clients go from making $200 in endorsing a local law firm or getting free chicken or pizza from the local restaurant, which is about 85% of all nil deals?
Sure. So if many of you remember like 2 years ago when the Oregon Ducks came to play Ohio State at home, and Ohio State was favored by 14 and they lost by quite a bit. The quarterback on the opposing team, Anthony Brown, Oregon's quarterback, he posted his Kloutmachine score about an hour after the game. So that led to him being able to engage in a lot of other transactions. He gets a Bose deal roughly about a month after that occurs. So there's him. From the brand side, a company named, what's it, the one with the blue checks? In essence, they're like Tinder, but only for verified athletes. So they wanted to use a large roster of athletes. They wanted like 50 plus. So first they began with the male athletes, and they realized the female ones gave them more of a flywheel. So we did both sides. They're called star-studded.
So I asked about your competitors. I think the follow-up question to that is, what makes you better?
Wonderful. The data. By that we mean the ability to understand what it is that I'm paying for and what I'm getting. Two, the NCAA has that rule that you have to be able to explain the fair market value of every deal that you do. We can do that every single time and at scale. So if you're a business coming here, if you're an athlete or an agent, the transparency that you're receiving, this isn't just, put some money in the McDonald's bag and I'll show up at your school. This is business being transacted and marketing at scale.
And can you give me a rough estimate of the sports breakdown? Like what percentage is football versus other sports?
From an athlete point of view?
From an athlete point of view.
Sure. So of the 3,000 signed up right now, we have every major P5 football and basketball program. It's about 35% football and basketball, and then others. So including Olympic sports and like G League athletes.
Any female athletes?
Oh yes, quite a few. In fact, we made headlines. We were one of the first to pay Cachet Chandler. She ran track at UC. She transferred to USC now. We paid her in a unique deal, her and her boyfriend. The brand wanted to do like a couple deal.
So how many athletes on your platform have a value of $1,000 or more?
Thousands. 1,000 is very, very, very low. And again, we can break down the value like per transaction. So is an Instagram post, Twitter post, you want them to come in person. What you saw with that slide deck, we had averaging about 1,000 a year. So we assume that when this market opened in the 2+ years we've seen, it's closer to like 1,750, 2,500 being an average deal. The high earners have moved up the median quite a bit, but yeah, they're getting paid like $2,000 to leave up an Instagram post for a couple months.